Okay, folks, today's video is of 7 Mile Rim Trail in Moab, Utah. This, in my opinion, is one of the better trails, the more fun trails. It has a lot of different types of terrain. It's also really scenic. Now, it's located just north of Moab. You'll go just past Highway 313 turnoff. That's a turnoff you would take to go to Canyonlands or Dead Horse Point State Park. A couple hundred yards past that is a little turnoff to a gravel road called Cotter Mine Road. That's what you're looking for. That's where you can pull over, untrailer your vehicle, or if you drove it in, you could just deflate your tires right there and then head north towards the fork in the road where you'll see the sign for 7 Mile Rim. You can't miss it, big metal sign. Once you get onto 7 Mile Rim Trail, you'll start up some switchbacks almost immediately and go around the canyon edge. Incredibly scenic. There is a detour over to Uranium Arch that I recommend checking out, and then continue on around the edge and head over towards Merrimack and Monitor Buttes. That's a good spot to stop and get lunch and just take a break. From there, you're going to go around the backside of Merrimack Butte over to a couple of obstacles. One's a really tilty section, and the other one is the infamous Wipeout Hill, which, by the way, Jeep just made it recently made it a badge of honor trail. So if your vehicle is equipped and you have the courage, that's one I definitely recommend. I just did it a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun, but it is an optional obstacle that you can bypass if you're not comfortable. If you bypass or want to continue on, just head north over towards Determination Towers. That's a great spot to stop, take some photos. It's really beautiful right there. From there, you're going to kind of be on the last leg of the trip, which is drive through a wash as well as a drive through some open areas until you get back to where Mill Canyon and Cotter Mine roads kind of intersect. My recommendation at this point is to just stay on Mill Canyon Road because you're really close to the highway. Jump on the highway, assuming your vehicle's highway worthy, head on back into Moab, get something to eat, enjoy the pool, relax. You're probably going to be pretty tired at this point. But if your vehicle is not highway worthy and you need to get back to the original start point where maybe you trailered your vehicle in, then just stay on the Cotter Mine Road and head south until you get back to the original starting point, and then go from there. All right, folks, let's go ahead and dive in and begin. Okay, this section here is on Cotter Mine Road. This is, rather than airing down right off the edge of the highway, it was a little bit breezy. So we pulled into this little, just drove up the road a little bit further and pulled into that canyon to air down right there. Right after that, you just start going up a first little plateau, and then here's that fork in the road I mentioned a minute ago where you'll see the sign for 7 Mile Rim Trail, and at that point you're no longer on Cotter Mine Road. You'll immediately start going up some switchbacks, and there's if you're afraid of heights, you may not like this part. There's definitely worse trails in the Moab area as far as switchbacks and being on the edge. It really wasn't too bad. It probably looks worse than what it is, but anyway, it's kind of fun. Once you get to the top of that plateau, you'll start heading up a bunch of like sandstone steps and just little obstacles to go around. Nothing hard, just stuff that's just kind of fun. And I'll tell you what, when you get to the top of that first plateau, you'll really start to see what I was talking about earlier, where I said this trail is one of the prettiest, in my opinion, in Moab of all the Moab trails. Moab obviously has some amazing trails and just interesting, beautiful scenery everywhere. The nice thing about this trail is it gives you a lot of variety, not just in the scenery, but also in the type of terrain that you'll be crossing over. It's a nice mix of everything. And better yet, this is a trail that is a little less traveled, a little less popular than some of the big ones like Hell's Revenge and Fins and Things, and this is one that you won't be fighting too much traffic on this trail compared to the others. As far as difficulty, this one's considered a medium trail. Now, if you have a Jeep, you're going to be fine because you don't have a big overhanging front end or back end. I've got a truck here that it's a short bed truck with a 6-inch lift. I was fine. There were a couple areas where I came close to scraping, but I was fine in this vehicle here. But definitely you're going to want to have a lifted vehicle, or a Jeep or a Bronco, something of that nature. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that one of the little uh, detours you might want to take is over to Uranium Arch. It's not far off the trail at all, but it's definitely an interesting arch that you can hike right up to, get underneath it. You can even hike up above and get on top of it. But it's worth stopping and checking out, in my opinion. And best of all, this is a freebie. It's not like Arches National Park where you're going to have to pay an entrance fee to get in to see some of the big cool arches. This one's a freebie. Now, if you look out into the distance right here, you'll see Monitor and Merrimack Buttes out there. That's ultimately where we're going to be heading. That's kind of the halfway point mileage-wise ballpark. And this little hill right here is right next to Uranium Arch. Depending on which way you come into Uranium Arch, you may or may not need to come up here. We came in kind of the long way, not knowing, so we didn't come up and down this originally, but I saw it and was like, hey, I want to do that, so kind of played around on it. But had I known, actually the trail that we were backtracking to get on is actually just right up here, not more than a couple hundred yards past where I'm at right now. Otherwise I would have just kept going and saved a lot of backtracking. But like I said, we kind of misread the map on this, so I just came up here, turned around, went back down to pick up Angela, and then we headed out off in front, out in the distance in front of the vehicle there, out towards the horizon, and then looped all the way back around to be not far from where we're at right now. It's kind of funny. The things that you realize when you get back to the hotel and look on the map. But hey, life's an adventure. We had fun. Got to see some beautiful country, so no complaints here, right? Now this little area here, this little obstacle here was kind of a fun one for us. We struggled. It's like, this isn't that bad. Why are we struggling to get up? And I say we. It was me. I'll own it. It was because I didn't have the vehicle in four-wheel drive. I had taken it out earlier because I needed to make a sharp turn and didn't put it back in four-wheel drive. And we just sat here like, why is it not climbing up there? Is my four-wheel drive going out on me? And yeah, it just needed to be turned on. Finally figured it out. We just crawled right up as soon as we did that. So that was funny. Again, notice how I keep saying we. It was me. I'll own it. Now, one definite recommendation I have for anybody watching this that's planning on doing this trail, download the map before you go. And if it were me, I would download not only the Google map, but the All Trails or Onyx map. You know, download it from a couple of different sources. The reason why I would highly encourage you to do that, I mean, obviously you should do that every time regardless, but especially in this area of Moab, there are trails crisscrossing and going every which direction. So if you have your desired path marked out and downloaded ahead of time, you're gonna have a much easier time staying on the trail and not accidentally taking a wrong trail and ending up in the wrong area. So definitely download it before you leave while you still have internet connection, because you won't have internet connectivity for most of this trip. Now, one of the benefits of the 7-Mile Rim Trail is that it's not in any of the nearby national parks, which means you can fly your drone here if you have one. I always like to get a little drone footage if I can, especially in areas like this where you're on the cliff edge. It just does a better job of showing just the terrain and how grand some of these cliff edges are versus GoPro or even still photos. So love to fly the drone a little bit if I can, and luckily on this day we were able to do that. Now, anybody who's known me for any period of time at all knows that when I see a cliff edge with a rock that juts out over the edge up top, I can't help myself. I got to go walk out on it and look over the edge from that vantage point. It, I don't know, gets my blood going a little bit and just makes for a great photo. So can't help myself, got to do it. But I guess someday if I don't die of natural causes, we probably have a pretty good idea what the second most likely cause would be. What a way to go. Hopefully not. By the way, that's Arches National Park out in the background there, in the distance, that whole area out there. if you're wondering about those dark clouds off to the side there, we made this trip in January. My wife and I like to go to Moab every year to celebrate our anniversary. And the problem being that it's in January, so the weather's always hit or miss. The nice thing is that time of year, these trails usually, the traffic just isn't there. You'll have them all to yourself or just a couple of other people. Like we ran into this vehicle in front of us, and that was the only vehicle we saw all day on the trail. So it's nice as far as that goes. Things are not crowded, and it's not, squelching hot like Moab typically is in the summer, spring, and fall. But you never know. The year before it was snowing out here, and we couldn't do any of the trails that we had planned to go on. We ended up just kind of sticking to the main roads and checking out arches and canyonlands and just taking pictures. But this January 2025 was pretty good weather. We had, as you can see, some kind of off and on mild rain storms or clouds that came in that actually were helpful because they just dropped a tiny bit of rain, just enough to kind of keep the dust down, but not enough to make things slick or slippery. So I guess we got lucky on this trip. By the way, if you're wondering what part of the trail we are on at this point, we're basically in the southeast corner of the loop. So we're still up near the cliff edge, but we're about to make the turn in the lower southeast corner of the loop and start heading back more inland towards Monitor and Merrimack Buttes. So it's kind of just to give you an idea of, if you were looking at the map, where we're at this point. Now, once you get to this point of the trail where you're just going across a lot of long stretches of just slick rock, that's the point where you're basically making that turn at the southeast corner of the loop, and now you're beginning to head west towards, like I said, Monitor and Merrimack Buttes. And so that's pretty much where we're at right now. on this day, we were going through this section here, we were worried a bit that, hey, were these rain clouds going to get better or going to get worse? And at this point, they passed over and we started seeing blue sky coming behind it. So that gave us a lot of peace of mind. Now, one thing to be aware of, we're traveling in broad daylight, or noon. It's about noon time right now, and the shadows it's hard to see pits and drops when the sun's directly overhead. This section right here, we were on the edge of just like a little ledge, and it slipped off. I couldn't see that. I didn't even know we were on like a little ledge, and so what you saw there was a really loud clunk and a drop. We're just like, what was that? And it just sounded like we had something had broke. Well, it was my tire wheel dropping off the edge and then clipping the corner of the sandstone. As you see, it put a nice little divot in my rim. Luckily, it didn't pop the tire or break the bead, so we were able to continue on. It's just a cosmetic thing, but didn't affect the drivability in any way, so that was good. Right here, we're finally getting out of the sandstone section of the trail, and we're about to hit the long sandy road section. This part was kind of fun. You can really pick up some speed and just go zipping across this area. It's just smooth sand with kind of rolling hills to it. And as you can see here, we're pulling up to Monitor and Merrimack Buttes right after this last little, I don't know if you call this an obstacle right here or not, but right after this, it's going to open up into just a large flat sandstone area. And I know that this is an area where a lot of people will stop and just kind of park, rest, take a break, walk around for a bit, take pictures, eat lunch, whatever. I was planning on getting my drone out and flying over the top of the buttes and just checking it out with the drone, but I started having drone issues at that point, so did not get any footage right here like I had wanted to. Now, after my wife and I ate and just kind of spent a moment there, we hit the trail again and started heading around the backside of, and I believe this one's Merrimack Butte, but that's where the 7-mile rim trail goes, is just around the edge, around the backside of that butte. But you'll come up to this section right here, and it's a bit of a tight squeeze, especially for a full-size truck. But my wife Angela got out and did a good job of guiding me through and making sure we didn't scrape the mirrors or sides or anything. So all is good. Now, almost immediately after you get through that tight squeeze, you'll come across this section here that's a little off camber. You can see I'm tilting pretty far to the left there. It's fine. It just looks and feels worse than what it is. It's really not bad at all, but my wife did not like it at all. And I contemplated, should I tell her now or wait till we get up to the section up ahead here in a minute, which is the really tilty section that this trail is known for. That there's one portion that it's not a very long portion. It's only, 30-40 yards, 50 at the most, but it's really tilty. In fact, if you look at the black road up in the sandstone as far up as your eye can see there up ahead off to the right, top right corner there, that's the really tilty section that is off camber. you'll be fine. Just go slow and you'll be fine. But yeah, my wife saw that and said, no, not a chance. And so we turned around and backtracked and had to do a long detour around the other side of Merrimack Butte. So on this trip, I didn't get to do that section just because she was going to have none of it. So right here, she's guiding me back through the through that narrow squeeze section. But like I said, that other section, it looks worse than what it is. There's a gazillion videos out there where you can watch people go through it and none of them tip over. It's fine. Just go slow and steady and you'll be fine. So at this point, like I said, we're detouring around the other side of Merrimack Butte and and just kind of will loop back in to the 7 Mile Trail in just a minute here. Okay, now at this point we have successfully looped around and jumped back on the 7 Mile Rim Trail. This is just past the Wipeout Hill obstacle. And what I'm coming up to right now, the video doesn't really show it. It's really kind of the last final obstacle on this trail that has any kind of significance at all. It's you can't really see it, but right in front of me, there it's a pretty good shelf that drops off pretty good. Going down it, I was fine. Didn't scrape or anything, but I certainly, if I was trying to come the other direction, I don't know that my truck would have got up that obstacle at all. My truck doesn't have lockers. Also, at that point in the trail is where my video died, and so I don't have any footage of the remaining portion of the trail. But like I said at the beginning, the remaining portion of the trail really, other than photo stopping to get photographs of Determination Towers, the rest of the video really isn't that scenic. You're just kind of in a wash and or out in the open. So if your video camera was going to die, that was the appropriate time or place for it to die. Um, just because I don't know that I would have shown much of that video anyway. It was, like I said, kind of boring in those sections, in my opinion. So anyway, this is like I said, this is one of my favorite trails in Moab. It has a little bit of everything as far as scenery goes, as well as just obstacles. You've got sand, you've got out in the open, you've got, in these pinnacle areas and sandstone and just a little bit of everything. Beautiful area. Um, Again, on the harder side of a moderate trail, I'd say. Uh, Definitely, you're going to want, something that's got a lift, four-wheel drive, and a lift. And anyways, definitely recommend checking this one out. If you're in Moab and have the vehicle to do it, go do it.